Hello, Professor King. My name is Alexis Zamora, and today I'm doing my presentation on my final personal leadership project. So in order to assess my leadership traits, behavior, and style, I will be using concepts from the following chapters. Chapter 4 talks about individual characteristics. Chapter 5 discusses sources of power. Chapters 3 and 6 contain information about leadership theories that I can apply to myself. And Chapter 10 gave me information about how to develop my leadership skills. So I'll be starting off with my individual characteristics, and in terms of my values, my national culture really fostered my value of individualism rather than collectivism, and because of this, I value personal achievement more than ascription or things that you're born with. In terms of my group culture, I am a millennial, so I value meaningful work and the freedom and ability to make choices for myself. In terms of organizational culture, by being a student at San Francisco State University, I really embrace diversity and I am socially conscious. So the Big 5 personality dimensions. I actually took an assessment earlier in the semester and I learned a lot about myself. So in terms of openness to experience, I'm at 20%, so I am a little bit more closed-minded, which is something that I need to improve on and be aware of. In terms of conscientiousness, I am on the higher end of the spectrum, so I am dependable, responsible, organized, and I plan ahead. In terms of extroversion, I'm also on the higher end of the spectrum at 75%, so I'm sociable, talkative, assertive, and ambitious. In terms of agreeableness, I think I'm more in that moderate state at 60%, so I'm fairly courteous and likable. And in terms of neuroticism or emotional stability, it's at a little bit of a high end, so at a 60%, it means that I can get a little bit more anxious or insecure at times. So based on this data, I can see that there are strengths in my personality, for example, my extroversion, my conscientiousness, and partly my agreeableness, but there are also weaknesses like my lack of openness to experience and my higher level of neuroticism. So now I'll be moving on to my abilities. So in terms of intelligence, I think that I have a moderately high level of intelligence just because throughout my time here at San Francisco State and even throughout high school, I was able to maintain at least a 3.5 GPA. Throughout the semester, I've learned that I am fairly emotionally intelligent, but there are also things that I need to work on. For example, in terms of self-awareness, I am improving on being aware about how I'm feeling and being in tune with myself. In terms of self-regulation, I'm also working on being better at controlling my emotions when it is needed. In terms of self-motivation, I think I have a pretty good grasp at that because let's say I need to work on an assignment that's going to take a really long time. I will literally sit in the library for maybe even 12 to 15 hours straight just to get it done, and I'll just basically do whatever it takes to get it done and get it done in a quality manner. In terms of empathy, I feel as though I can read others fairly well in certain situations. For example, if a team member comes to a meeting and they seem kind of down, I'll ask how their day was or if they want to talk about something before we start working on a project or assignment. In terms of interpersonal and social skills, I feel like I'm able to create and build positive relationships with others. And one of the last abilities that I'll be discussing is creativity. So I've taken Management 650 this semester, and I really feel that it has enhanced my creativity. I know that I can be a creative person just based on things that I've done before, but this major and this environment of college doesn't always allow me to express that side of myself, and I really feel like I became more in touch with that this semester. I'll be moving on to my skills next. So I do have a few technical skills. I'm well organized, I pay a lot of attention to detail. I'm pretty good at time management because I have a planner, and that basically becomes my whole life during the semester. I tend to plan out everything based on the syllabi that are given to me at the beginning of the semester, and it really helps me keep track of what I need to get done and when it needs to be done. And as a millennial, I am fairly media savvy, so I know how social media works. College has really helped my ability to deal with Word documents, and I've actually learned this semester that I am very good at PowerPoint presentations. Like, I make very quality ones. I think that they look really clean. So that's why I'm actually really enjoying doing this presentation for you right now. Moving on to my interpersonal skills, I try to have open communication, especially in team settings, so that we can all communicate effectively. I think I'm fairly friendly and approachable, and I also have previous customer service experience. Now I'll be moving on to sources of power. So right now, since I don't really have a job, I don't really have too many sources of power, but I do have a couple. So the first of them is referent power. I feel like I get along with most people, and I believe that if you respect others, then they will respect you back. And that's just kind of an ideal that I always carry with me. And I also think that I have some expert power just based on educational knowledge that I've learned throughout college. I know that when I do get a job eventually, I will have other sources of power, and that I should keep in mind that with great power comes great responsibility. Excuse me, sorry. So now moving on to the leadership theories. I learned early on in the semester when we were talking about chapter 3 about Fielder's contingency model that I am a much more task-oriented leader rather than a relationship-oriented leader. Sometimes I get a little bit frustrated with people that aren't doing their part, but for the most part, I do try to make sure that I do have good relationships with my team members and make sure that we aren't causing drama or anything like that just to get the task done. But I try to mainly focus on being able to get the task done in a timely manner and in a quality way. I really enjoy details, and sometimes that causes me to micromanage, so I need to improve on not micromanaging so much, and not being so much of a perfectionist. Next, I'll be talking about the path goal theory. So when I'm a leader, I try to make sure that everyone is on the same page, and I try to make sure that they can do their task with minimal obstacles. I encourage people to ask questions or ask for clarification whenever they need it. I tell them to let me know if they need help, and I'll put in the work for them if that means that they'll have an easier time in the execution of the presentation or the project. And this goes back to being a task-oriented leader, I feel. I help them because I want the task to get done well and in a timely manner. And lastly, transactional leadership. I feel like I provide the resources for my team to do well, and I remind them that the reward is getting a good grade. So as you can see in the picture, I can't really dangle money in front of them because I can't provide them with pay or benefits or anything like that, but just reminding them that getting an A is a reward in of itself. It really helps motivate them and be more committed to the project. And with the teams that I experienced this semester, not only in your class but in other classes as well, it was effective because our goals were aligned. We all wanted a good grade. But if maybe one person or most of the group didn't really care whether they got like an A or a C, then it probably wouldn't have worked out as well as it did. And lastly, I'll be talking about my plans to develop my leadership skills. So first, I need to be aware that there can be improvements made in my leadership style. I also need to have motivation and readiness to learn. I should focus mainly on skills development. So throughout college, I have been developing my basic knowledge based on definitions and concepts that I've been learning in many of my classes. I have also been developing my personal growth by engaging in activities like this where I can make a self-assessment and realize what can be improved as in me as a leader or even just as a person. Excuse me, I'm so sorry. I have also developed my creative ability. As mentioned before, I have been able to get back in touch with my creative side. I also have to keep in mind to continue being self-aware, to continue to learn and seek new experiences, and this can also help improve my open-mindedness. To focus on my skills development, I need experience. So participating in an internship before I get a job would be very ideal. I actually have a mentoring opportunity right now with one of my professors. He actually offered me a TA position, and I believe that he will be a great resource to help me develop my leadership and management skills with the time that I have left here at San Francisco State. I also have to be open to coaching opportunities from my bosses and my mentors, and I have to continue being ready and willing to learn in order to continue to grow and develop as a person and as a leader. So in conclusion, I've learned a lot about myself this semester. I learned about my values, I learned about my personality, my strengths and weaknesses in that, and things that I need to pay attention to. I've also learned about my skills and abilities and how to use them to the best of my ability and to use my strengths. I've also learned a few aspects about my leadership style, and overall, I've learned about how to develop and improve myself. So thank you so much, Cynthia, for such a great semester, and have a great holiday season. Please don't hesitate to contact me if you have any questions or need any clarification. And yeah, so thank you so much for listening.